NBA Finals getting started this week. Banger of a series. New York Knicks against the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs coming off of a 7-game victory over the defending champions. For the first time in NBA history, there will be 8 straight different NBA Finals champions. If we were to run down the list, you had the Thunder, you had the Celtics, you had the Warriors, you had the Lakers, you had the Bucks, you had a whole bunch of different teams in this little run that were on the Raptors. And now it's going to be either the Spurs or the Knicks. 2 teams that did meet in the 1999 NBA Finals. Saw something cool. Apparently, Karl Anthony Towns wore the shirt promoting the Spurs Knicks 99 Finals to his first game as a Knick back in October 2024. Now he's reliving that. Now he's playing Spurs Knicks. Spurs are the favorites in this series at about minus 205, according to BetMGM. That is down because there were some hypothetical look-ahead lines posted before Game 7 of Spurs Thunder, and the Spurs were minus 225 at that point. So the Knicks have built some good faith with the bettors. They just finished a historic 10-game streak where they posted a higher point differential than any team in NBA history, yet it is still the Spurs that are favored. So I guess we'll start by talking about the series overall, and then we'll talk about game 1 and our expectations.
Well, the series overall, I think it's the Spurs series to go out and win, but the Knicks are still really good. My one fear in the series, if I had to break it down, it's Stephon Castle defending Jalen Brunson, because Shea had size and Shea was not that last game was awesome. Like, it was fun watching Shea not flop and play basketball. But I do think there's a really good chance that Stephon Castle puts Jalen Brunson in a little bit of a blender at times in the series. And if that is the case, it's going to be really hard for the Knicks to run their offense.
Yep, I agree. I want to pull up Brunson's numbers against the Spurs because we have seen him go against an elite defender in Azar Thompson, for example, and he's had some struggles there. He still gets his 30 points, but it might take him like 25, 26 shots to get there. So his most recent matchup with the Spurs was on March 1st. It was a resounding win for the Knicks, 114-189. But Brunson had 24 points on only 44% shooting. He faced the Spurs back on New Year's Eve. Again, 29 points, but on 42% shooting, which is below his season average. And then he also faced them on December 16th in the NBA Cup Final, 25 points on 41% shooting. So in all of those games, I think it was 43% or below shooting. He's shot 47% for the season. So he would still get his numbers. He would still get his 25 plus points, but it took him a few extra shots to get there than usual. And this is also the playoffs where the intensity is at an even higher level now. And this entire Spurs team, I think, really came of age. I think the Timberwolves prepared them for the Thunder. And then to do what they did against the Thunder, go on the road Game 7, even though the Thunder had those injuries, they were still favored. They were still home for a Game 7, and the Spurs did need to go out and win it, and they did. So I think that helps them. And then I think Castle's experience with Shea will help him a lot as well, because Brunson and Shea are similar in the sense they're really crafty, play off 2 feet, like to get to the rim, like to have a lethal mid-range, and they're both floppers a little bit. And so Castle having that experience, but also now Brunson being 6 inches smaller, should be a lot easier for him to guard. Not that it will be easy, but it will be easier.
I think that the New York Knicks are a live dog in the series. I really do. You also got to factor in, I think game 1's going to be tough for both sides because you got one team who's been on a big layoff. You got another team who's coming off, a massive win. They're crying after the game. Like, the emotion of that is going to be hard to come into this game. So I do think the Knicks have a little bit of an edge coming into game 1 just because of what the Spurs had to go do to get to this point. But it's a really interesting series in the sense of, I think the Spurs are better, but I know the Knicks can win the series. And you need to give the Knicks credit for what they've done in the past 10 playoff games, basically.
Yeah, they have a 123 offensive rating in these playoffs, which is essentially the highest ever recorded for a regular season. And I get that they've avoided the top dogs. Like, they haven't played a team like the Thunder. They haven't played a team like the Spurs and the Nuggets. They didn't get to play the Celtics. And I'm not faulting them for it. You play who's in front of you. They just haven't faced a team like this. So that could be the adjustment for them, combined with them getting a week off. Like, when you're playing so well, the last thing you want to do is get extended time off. And that's what the Knicks got. Whereas the Spurs are the team that's fresh. But like you said, maybe there's a bit of an emotional hangover. Like, yes, they get to go home, but they also feel so victorious after what they just did in the conference finals that as a young team, can they get their mindset, their mentality right, their mindset, and say, look, it's 0-0. Everything we've done up to this point doesn't matter. What we did in the first 3 rounds does not win us the finals. What I really am going to be paying attention to is the defensive matchups in this series, because I think they're fascinating. Like basketball, there's been a lot of cross matching in recent years. Basketball for the longest time was the point guard guards the point guard, the small forward guards the small forward, center guards the center. If I'm trying to think about these defensive matchups, first of all, I think you're going to have OG Anunoby on Victor Wembanyama because OG has allowed fewer points per possession than any individual defender has against Wemby in his NBA career. So Wemby's getting his toughest matchup. OG's on Wemby. I think you have Mikal Bridges probably on De'Aaron Fox, use his length to try to slow down some of the ball progression that Fox gives you. That means you have Josh Hart on Stephon Castle, 2 physical guys, both like to get down and dirty under the basket. You probably put Cat on Champagnie because Champagnie's not really a live threat to go off the dribble. Does mean that Cat's going to be drawn away from the basket and guarding the 3-point line, which isn't great. I think you try to work a bunch of pin downs and flares and stuff like that and make Cat navigate that. And then you get Brunson on Vassell, which isn't a good matchup, but there is no good matchup for Brunson in this series. He'll probably get some time on Fox, but I don't think that's the primary assignment. And then on the flip side, if you're the Spurs, you have to make a choice here. With Wemby, do you put him on Josh Hart and have him completely sag off, like we saw Wemby sagging off of Caruso in the first 3-4 games of the Thunder series? Do you have him do that and say, look, Josh Hart, you shoot 30% from 3, like just go ahead, take your shots, whatever, we'll live with the outcome, so that he can be near the rim and play like free safety on everyone else? Or do you put Cat on or Wemby on Cat, but then Cat spaces himself to the 3-point line, and now you don't have Wemby's interior defense? That's a decision you have to make. You're going to put Castle on Brunson most likely. If you don't put Wemby on Cat, that means Champagnie is on Cat, and that's a big mismatch for him on the interior. You've got Vassell on OG, which is kind of a wash, and then you'll have Fox on Mikal Bridges. And Fox is a lot smaller than Mikal. Mikal's good at getting to the mid-range and hitting those fadeaways. So, like, on both sides, while there are great defensive matchups, you also can't avoid the defensive mismatches that you're going to get. So that's kind of what's the most interesting part for me.
You break that down really well, Grant. That was good. My thing is, in this game, or the series as a whole, looking at it, I think it's going to come down to, which team also can handle the fourth quarter the best. That's one where the Spurs have been excellent. When you think back to what they did against the Timberwolves, when you think to Game 7 against the Thunder, when they've had to close games out, they've all done it. Everybody's been making shots. The Knicks haven't necessarily been in positions where they've had to close out games in the fourth quarter because they've just been blowing everybody out. My thing is, every young team in the NBA playoffs, it seems, has to go through a bit of a hump to get to where they want to go. Now you're not playing Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. And I know that was a big series for them, but they had the confidence they could beat them too throughout the entire season. Now you split 1-1 with the Knicks. You're walking into Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. You're playing against the New York Knicks. It's probably going to be the most hostile crowd you've ever been in front of. Not saying they're not going to be able to handle it. They've all played in front of big time crowds, whether it's college or in the NBA. But this is a different level. You're in the finals now. You're playing against the Knicks. You're playing in MSG. Are you going to be able to close out games on the road? Are you going to be able to handle the pressure if the Knicks are able to have success? And you have to think no in a way because they're a young team, but we've kind of forgotten they're a young team because of what they've been able to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, the Timberwolves and the Thunder back-to-back, I think, was the best possible thing for accelerating their development and experience on that stage. But there's a very underrated aspect of this as well with the Knicks, which is while the franchise hasn't been to the finals in a while, this group, they got to the conference finals. They have that experience, but they haven't been to this stage. I think nobody's really paying enough attention to Brunson, Hart, and Mikal won championships together in college. Like, it's a different level, yes, but those principles don't go away. And if anything, they were playing in a scenario where every game is a game 7 because it's a single elimination for them. So I think that helps them tremendously. OG has also won a final himself with the Raptors. So the Knicks, while you might not think about them as this like seasoned championship team, that's actually exactly what they are. And it's guys who have been together for a while, building their core and their chemistry, and now they're ready to go do it. coming off of just this historic play throughout the playoffs. So while I'm with you that I think in a vacuum, the Spurs are a better team, I'll be honest and say that I don't think they should be favored to win the series by as much as they are.
Yeah, I mean, what's the better storyline too? You got to think of that. I think the Knicks winning's a much better storyline. I think that's the babyface storyline. I mean, both teams are kind of baby faces in this, but I would say the Knicks is the better storyline. And then you look at the Spurs; they don't get over the hump this year. Next year, they get beat by Oklahoma City most likely, and then they're back in year 3, ready to go. I think this is the year that the Knicks have to get it done. It's been so many years since they've been to the finals. This team should have been to the finals last year. I think the Knicks are going to find a way here to make it competitive. I'm not saying they win the series, but the Spurs have been excellent in the playoffs when it matters in every game. Like there has not been a game where it's like close down the stretch, maybe game 1 against the Timberwolves, but for the most part, if it's been close down the stretch, they've all performed and they've won those games. I don't know if you're going to have that same success here.
I think the Knicks have a great opportunity to come out and set the tone in game 1. And again, I'm battling this concept of, do you want the Spurs because they were just winning a game 7 and they've got full intensity, they're sharp, versus the Knicks who are just dominating everybody but haven't played in over a week. Like that's one thing. The Spurs are also going to their home court where their role players have shot the ball a lot better. I do think the Knicks have a chance to come out and really make a statement in this because the Spurs defended the Thunder in such a particular way, which they did a phenomenal job of. I mean, they held the MVP to being really, really inefficient in that series, but you can't defend the Knicks that way. I know like you'll get Castle on the ball, for example, but just the general structure is going to look totally different. And if the Spurs coaching staff, this is about the coaches more than the players, if they don't have the right game plan, the Knicks, with the way that they've been playing offense, like they're going to be throwing haymakers constantly, and you could be down 20 points going into halftime, which would be something that they just have not dealt with at all in these playoffs.
So what's your pick, Grant? That's the big question.
I'm going to take the Spurs in 7 games.
Wow.
I think it's tight.
Yeah, 7 games. I mean, I think if it goes 7, I feel like if it goes 7 with knowing how little home court matters in a game 7, I maybe would go to the Knicks. Like if it goes 7, it's showing me that the Knicks are able to compete, but it's weird too. Like you look at that 7-game series with the Thunder and the Spurs, for the most part, the Spurs controlled the series. That stretch in game 2 and 3 were not very pretty for the Spurs, but it all came down to the referees. Where I feel like in this series, if the Knicks can get it to a game 7, they're having success offensively and defensively.
Interestingly, the most likely outcomes, according to BetMGM, most likely is Spurs in 7. Second most likely is Spurs in 5, which I don't understand how it's not Spurs in 6 that's in there. And then the third most likely is Knicks in 6. And I'm having a tough time following the train of thought there. But I would just leave it as the most likely outcome is Spurs in 7.
I think if I try to figure it out real quick, Spurs in 7, because you got to think NBA Finals, they got home court. It's going to be back and forth. Spurs in 5 if they truly are the better team, because there are a lot more people that think they're the better team and can win this in 5 games. And then Knicks in 6 if they're going to close it out.
Their home court in game 6?
They're going to close it out in 6. That's how I would break it down.
Okay, so they think it's going to minimum 5, and then from that point on, it's just like who's the home team. They get the advantage here.
Yeah, I don't think it's going 7. Yeah, I don't know. I think if the Knicks win, I feel like it's going to be in 7 games. If the Spurs win, they probably could do it in 6 games. I don't think it's Knicks in 6 at all.
So this brings me back to I think it was the 2017 finals. This would have been the first Kevin Durant year with the Warriors, where Warriors fans were predicting Warriors in 4, Warriors in 5. Cavaliers fans were all saying Cavaliers in 7. I don't think it's as lopsided in this series, but I do have that feeling of I could see the Spurs winning in 5. I don't think it's going to happen, but like I could see it. I could really see them winning in 6. There's no shot the Knicks win this thing in 5. It would be tough for them to win it in 6 as well. So like the Spurs, through that assessment, seem to be the better team if you think they can win it in fewer games.
Yeah, the Spurs are the better team, but the Knicks can win the series. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be a fun series, which is what I'm excited for, though. I mean, the Knicks have been cruising up to this point, and the Spurs obviously have not, and that's not any fault of theirs. They've played tougher teams, but I'm excited to see the Knicks in these crunch time scenarios, and I'm excited to see the Spurs and Wemby. I mean, Wemby's trying to mistake the claim that he's the best player alive at 22 years old, and if he wins the championship, he's if he's not at the top of that conversation, he'll be coming back next season to prove himself.
He's just got to show up to the press conferences. His inexperience and age has shown a little bit in the playoffs, I will say, just in how he's handled the media and all that. But he's good. He's solid.
No, you're right. It's a small bit because he won the Magic Johnson Award, which is basically given to the player that treats the media the best, and they didn't show up for, I think it was game 6. No, game 5.
It was after he told his boys to go take out Jared McCain, which he did.
No, someone showed an alternate angle. It looked like he said, "Have fun." I don't know, but
go kill Jared McCain. That's why he didn't show up.
But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he is a young kid. But you know what? This is what I'll close by saying. I would love it if the Knicks won. It would be a great story. But I would also love it if Wemby won because he's so good for the NBA. Just the way that missed press conference aside, the way he treats the media guys. Like listening to him talk to Vince Carter and Jamal Crawford Jamal Crawford and everyone else after the Game 7 win was great. I even like seeing him cry because he cares about the game. I'm tired of people like Shea and these new gen superstars who just seem like they don't care.
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, hugging each other. They're dapping up the Sixers after losing in 7
Anthony
games.
Edwards giving dap to the Spurs with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, let's act like we care.
Wemby not showing up to press conference. Like, I don't like that, but like at least it shows that he's doing it. Yeah, he's so frustrated he doesn't want to be there. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good call. I like the Knicks. Like I'm a Boston guy, and I would like to see what happens to New York City if the Knicks win personally in 6 games. I would like to see it burn to the ground. I think that would be funny.
They're gonna have to grease the light poles.
Oh yeah, they that city would be a war zone if they won because like everybody agrees on the Knicks. If they don't win and the Spurs win, I still think it's funny because the Knicks lose. So it works out either way.
So you're in a win-win scenario.
Yeah, like I both teams are fun to root for. Like I'm a UConn guy, so I like Stephon Castle. And I think both teams are good to root for here. There's not like an enemy in the series. It's not like, hey, New York versus everybody. New York's like the little guy here. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. There's no bad guy here. This is a good outcome no matter what happens. You can support whoever wins.
Definitely. Well, that was Ride the Line, guys. Make sure you leave your comments who you think's going to win. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share the video, and we will talk to you next time for another episode of Ride the Line.